The number one reason I decided to post how much I made last year was to show women specifically
Mm.
that you do not have to be stuck in one career or one part of your life. You can do anything. That's
Mm.
the number one thing I try to tell people. You can do anything. I did not have this job. I had a whole other career. You can be at the lowest point in your life and
Mhm.
pick up and say,
Mhm.
I'm going to do this.
Welcome back to the show. I am so excited to share with you today's episode. I come across lots of different creators and influencers, and I really felt like my conversation and meeting with Kristen Sellentin was just a breath of fresh air because she has such a positive approach to how she thinks about what she's offering people when they come to her account and they see her content. And she's very intentional with it. Kristen has built her following. She did not make her Instagram public until late 2019. And since then, she has built her audience to close to 250,000 people on Instagram alone. And last year, she made $500,000 from her influencer activities. In fact, she had a video go viral where she breaks it down and tells people what she made each month of 2023. What I really enjoyed about this conversation with Kristen is that first, she has this very positive approach to her content. What we talk about in today's conversation is how she thinks about what she's going to cover. She talks about the recipe for success, so to speak, and it comes down to being authentic and transparent, and community is another big theme we talk about, and also how she thinks about giving value, who her audience is, and giving value to that audience. I really appreciated Kristen's transparency and openness to talking with me. I really enjoyed this conversation with Kristen. I hope you do too, and we're going to jump right into it. Kristen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so excited to talk with you. I recently posted a video of yours, a reel you posted on Instagram that went viral. It was a trend that I know some creators and influencers are doing, which is kind of what you made over the course of the year before. So of course, over the course of 2023. And that video went viral. Can you share a little bit about why you decided to post it and what the reaction has been?
The number one reason I decided to post how much I made last year was to show women specifically that you do not have to be stuck in one career or one part of your life. You can do anything. That's the number one thing I try to tell people. You can do anything. I did not have this job. I had a whole other career. Then I was raising my babies, and I put my mind to something and I did it. And I am successful. And I want people to see that not just that they have, it's a pathway to becoming an influencer, or here's how to make this money being a content creator. It's really a bigger picture than that, which is you can be at the lowest point in your life and pick up and say, I'm going to do this, and put your mind to something and do it and be successful.
Yeah. I love that. I am a big believer in being the master of your own destiny. And there are so many women who decide to take an off ramp, let's say, to their careers and to raise their families. And then, because of the way the traditional work works,
Right.
it can be a huge sidetrack, right? For women getting back up into the working world. And here you created your own business, because being a creator and influencer, if you are monetizing it, you're an entrepreneur. You have created your own business, and quite successfully so. So what has the reaction been to, I know the video went viral, but what has what have people been saying to you?
My DMs have not stopped blowing up since that reel was posted. Every day people want to know, how did I do it? How can I better my business. I'm
Mhm.
getting DMs and emails from creators themselves with big
Mhm.
followings asking me, what are you doing, looking for
Mhm.
advice. But
Mhm.
the overall message has been positive. I mean, on that reel alone, there's over, I don't know, over 1,000 comments or so of just positivity. I
Mhm.
don't think there might be one negative comment. And so it was taken in a really positive light, which
Mhm.
thank goodness.
Mhm.
My message was received loud and clear that this was not, me tooting my own horn. This was bigger than that.
Mhm.
And people are really genuinely happy for me, but
Mhm.
happy to see a woman being successful and
Mhm.
being transparent, because
Yes.
there's so little transparency in this industry, being a newer industry
Mhm.
too.
I think you're 100% right about that transparency. This is an industry where there's no rate
Right.
card that says this
Right.
is how much you charge or how much money an
Mhm.
influencer can make. And I
Right.
think you were in many ways trying to give women that perspective of like it's an empowering thing to be able
Mhm.
to do this. You
Mhm.
you basically decided I'm going to take this off ramp. You've been able to create a livelihood, a very viable livelihood from what you started almost as a hobby, right? In 2019, you didn't make it public until the
Right.
end of 2019. You have close to 250,000 followers on Instagram. How did you build that following from the end of 2019, which is not that long ago,
I know.
a
You're gonna
quarter
make
of
me
a mil,
cry.
almost a quarter of a million followers? How
I'm
did that happen?
I'm seriously beyond blessed. I have the best community, and you know how it happened is hard work
Yeah.
every single day. I try to post content, new, creative, eye-catching content every day. I just kept posting, and that's what I tell people. Just start. Just
Mhm.
make that account and start posting the things that you love, and the
Mhm.
people will come. If you're
Mhm.
making quality content, people will come and they'll want to be part of your community. I've really tried to keep things true and true to myself,
Mhm.
and that has been a winning combination for me. I feel like 4 years has been 500 years. And
Well, right,
we're
because it's
working so
work.
hard every single day. But
That's
for me,
that's yes, and that's the thing that people do have to understand. I hear so many perspectives about and a lot from people outside the industry with their perception of what the industry is. And I think that what you just talked about and in this short time since we've recorded, you've mentioned transparency, authenticity, community, and ultimately giving value to your audience. Those four things together, those four elements, I think are the recipe for success with creators and influencers that I've seen over the years with staying
Mhm.
power. Good influencers, creators like yourself, understand inherently that you are building a community. How do you think about your audience?
It was end of 2022. I had I was close to 100,000 followers or so, and I felt like I was struggling in a way to understand my audience.
Mm-hmm.
The demographics were staying the same, but I felt like I had lost a connection. And so for me, looking at it as a business standpoint, I hired someone to make a brand, to brand me.
Uh-huh.
And I had them, develop my website, make my website, and I did a brand intensive with them. And this gal, that's what she does. She is a guru for understanding your brand and teaching you about your audience.
Mm.
And it was well worth the investment. We sat down and we did it was a 3 or 4 week. We would sit down a couple times a week and we would look at me and what I was building in my community. And she put me more in touch with the community. She
Mm.
brought to light so many insights. For example, I don't go to Starbucks. I maybe go to Starbucks once every 2 years. But she said, your follower is the mom that's getting up and going to Starbucks and taking her kids to school. And little things like that. And I was like, oh, I that is not in my realm, but it's a different way of looking at things. And so
Yeah.
she really brought things to light for me, and that gave me the confidence to
Yeah.
approach my audience in a way that was even more authentic, and
Mhm.
felt like I could open up to them a little more, and make jokes, and not just be this here's a pretty picture, but become a real person for them.
So for those who are listening who don't or not familiar with their content, what
Sure.
type of content do you put out?
I like to say I'm lifestyle. I try to do it all. I do a little fashion. I do recipes,
Mhm.
mom hacks, home decor. I love home decor, holiday celebrating,
Mhm.
my life, things that
Mhm.
I'm doing in my life and that may bring someone joy
Mhm.
or teaches someone a new technique or a new trick, or, how they can do something fun in their life. I like to say I live a simple life, but I grew up in a very rural area, and I always dreamed of, having a beautiful home, and all these, pretty things. So for me, it's kind of my childhood coming to fruition, where, my childhood dreams of I control the things that I bring into my home, and I'm controlling the things that I'm doing with my life. I'm trying
Mhm.
to do things that people are already doing in their lives too. And
Yeah.
maybe I can help them do it easier or smarter. Mhm.
You recently decided to get a manager to help you
Did.
manage day to day. First, what
Mhm.
made you decide? Like, why did you make the decision to get a manager? And what do you think the ingredients are to having a good, successful relationship with a manager?
For me, I was struggling to get my work done
Mm,
and pitch to brands, bring in the business. I
mhm,
couldn't do it all myself
mhm,
anymore. And even though it was a big, scary leap to bring on
mhm.
someone
Yep.
and give, hand over the reins, it was the best thing for me at that time, because trying to balance work life,
Yeah.
and I'm finding, okay, I'm creating the content, but now I've got to go out and find a brand to work with. Because,
Mhm.
when you are smaller, you don't, and you're newer, you don't have the attention of the brands yet.
Right.
So you are out there pitching,
Mhm.
trying to bring in the business. So I'm trying to bring in the business, but I'm also trying to make and create.
Mhm.
And it's a catch
Mhm.
22. So I really had reached that threshold of I can't grow my business
Mhm.
if I don't bring on a manager.
Right.
And the second part of that is, hiring a manager, and how do you find, or how do you know they're the right fit?
Yeah.
It's definitely, while they're interviewing you, you're interviewing them. You've got to mesh well with this person, because they become a part of your life. I talk to my manager more than my mom. We are constantly texting, emailing, when I've got issues, they're working on it. Like, you have to trust them.
Going back to the transparency that we talked about earlier, I'm very appreciative that you're willing, to be transparent and share that. If you think about the ways, so influencers, creators can make money a lot of different ways.
Hmm.
Can you just kind of top line share? Do you mostly make money from brand partnerships? Is it affiliate? Is the majority, or is there some sort of, hierarchy of how you're able to earn income from this?
So for me, it's about 80% is brand
Mm-hmm.
partnerships,
Mm-hmm.
20%, I think it's like 17% is affiliate. So you're
Okay.
thinking Amazon, LTK, Shop
Yep.
Style, any kind of affiliate program.
Yep.
And then a small percentage is my website revenue, ads on my website. And then a very tiny, tiny, tiny amount is your views.
I've heard so many influencers talk about the
Mhm.
struggle with trying to make money from views.
I've never looked at the views as a way I wanted to get paid anyway.
Yeah.
I really love my brand partnerships and
Yeah.
building that connection. And I
Mhm.
love I love affiliate linking too. Those have worked really well for me.
Four things that you have said that to me are those indications of success of a successful creator. And it's the authenticity, the building community and understanding the community that follows you. it's transparency, and it's giving value to the audience. So,
Yeah.
Kristen, just to kind of close out, I wonder if I could ask you one last question about just generally how you think the influencer creator space is depicted. Do you think that people understand this space? What do you think, or what do you wish other people understood about this space that maybe don't work in it day to day?
You said earlier that I think that people don't understand how much work it truly is.
Mm,
That's the number one thing. And
mhm,
I think people just think that it's all fun. There's so many more facets to this business that they
mhm,
just don't know about. They just think that you're making a post. I mean, I hear this all the time when
mhm.
people find out, because most people don't in my life don't know who I am or what I do. I literally live like in my bubble.
Yeah.
And so in my community, people will they'll come up to me and go, I have to tell you, I saw you. I saw you on Instagram. I saw this like gingerbread house reel and it's you. And I'm like, me. This nonstop. This happens to be a lot more lately as I am getting bigger. But and they're just like in shock. And then they're like, no wonder you're always so busy. It's a
Mhm.
lot of work. They're like, wow, I never knew that there was so much work to it. And it's so hard to explain to people too
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
how this whole business works. And
Mhm.
their eyes glass over very quickly that it's not just a video that you made or a picture you took. No, no. There are hours and out into every photo I do or every video I do. It's probably at least 10 hours of work,
Mhm.
sourcing products, shooting, editing,
Yeah.
working with my manager on the contract portion, whatever it may be. No matter what the industry, people don't really realize, what's
Yeah.
going on behind the scenes. They just like,
Well, it's a lot of work, and it's also, it's not just the hours. I think too, the thing that's interesting about the influencer creator space is that it's also what I call a lot of share of mind, because even when you're not actively doing the work,
oh
to
yeah.
create the content, to, plan and buy and do all the things you need to create the content, you're then pushing it out and you've got to respond to people. And there is
Mhm.
so much of that. And that happens at all hours of the day. So
Yes.
I think
Yes.
there's a lot more of the work, as you said, your point about it's a lot more work than people realize,
Yeah,
but it can, as we've talked about, can be hugely beneficial
absolutely.
for the right people.
I regret
Mhm.
not starting sooner. I regret not making my account public several years before I did. And because
Mhm.
I was producing fabulous content, just
Mhm.
no one saw it. Uh,
It was a great
Yes,
secret.
it was wonderful. And I was making no money.
Right. And that's the beauty of this, is that you can take something that is interesting
Yeah,
to you and make it into a business.
right. And flexibility for me was so, so important because coming from the corporate world, having my kids, and I could not see myself going back to the office. And
Mhm. Mhm.
it was not jiving with me.
Mm.
And because family is everything to me. So this
Yeah.
job allows me to travel. I make content wherever I go.
Yeah.
And it's been fantastic. It's been such a dream and such a
Yeah.
thrill.
Well, Kristen, thank you so much for spending this time. If
Oh, thank
people want to
you.
follow you, where is the best way for them to do that?
Sure. They can go. My website is www.kristensellentin.com. All my handles are at Kristen Sellentin, Kristen Sellentin. S is in Sam, Ellentin.
I really appreciate you spending time
Thank
with us today,
you.
and congratulations on all the success. Thank you for listening. If you're an influencer or a brand that wants to work with us, please feel free to email us at info@shespeaks.com. Until next time.